Welcome to the Amateur Logic Studios. Here we've got myself, George Thomas, Tommy Martin, and our friend from Icom America here, Ray Novak. Hi, Ray.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, welcome back.
And you've got a little buddy here with you.
Yes, sir.
This is a new rig here. It's the IC 7300.
It's going to probably become my new travel companion. It's a nice little radio compact and something that you can take with you with a lot of features.
Yeah, it's a good size here. It's bigger. It's not as small as 7000 or 7100 or some other rigs. It's got a nice big display on it. It really looks a lot to me like my IC 7700. I mean, I feel right at home with it. So you should just leave it here after the show tonight.
He's got a fever. A little bit smaller.
Yeah, it's a considerable bit smaller. It's a good field day size. So you can see carrying that thing around a lot.
Yeah, it's right around 5 pounds, I believe.
Yeah, not bad.
But a couple of the nice things about it, there's an optional mobile mounting bracket, believe it or not. Same mobile mounting bracket as the 718. Has the same footprint. A lot of differences, though.
Does the head come off?
No.
No, it would be a little big. That would be cool.
Yeah, it would.
It'd be a big head, though.
Yeah.
So it's a new radio. Of course, well, there's just so many things that are kind of new here. I don't know where to start, Ray. Let's just say this one here, though, as we shoot this video, these are not actually being delivered in the U.S. yet.
No, actually, I think they're in production right now at the factory. We should be receiving the first shipment next week. We'll be doing some testing on the radios. We'll have a second shipment come in the last week of the month, and then we'll be shipping them to the dealers. So by the end of March, we will be shipping them to the dealers. And, I mean, that's when you start really pounding on your favorite Icom dealer if you're in line to get one of these.
So there's been so much interest in this thing. I know we were waiting for FCC approval. That's all passed now, right?
Yeah, that was a month or so ago.
Okay.
It's HF and 6 meters in the U.S. The UK version adds, I believe, 7 meters to it, or 4 meters. I'm sorry, 4 meters to it.
Cool.
So are they being delivered anywhere yet in the world, or?
They have in Japan. They've started shipping the versions in Japan. It was interesting. There's already been a firmware update. The ones that we'll be shipping should have all the latest firmware in them. Okay.
And this one right here, this is a sample model, I assume.
It's going to look the same, smell the same, play the same.
But you got to get one to start with, and this is that one.
Yes, this is the one.
Yeah.
They know that I like to get my hands on it and play around with it. Come and visit you guys. So they send me one that's, I would say, probably at least 95% functional. One time they sent me if you remember, the 2730, and that bad boy would not transmit.
Yeah.
So, but this one's all looks like it's good to go. We haven't poked and prodded everything on it yet, but so far it's been a fun radio to play with.
Okay, well, I think we probably ought to get on into it. Point out a couple of new things here about this radio before we turn it around and start actually punching knobs and buttons.
Well, the first obvious thing is the large screen on the front of it. It's going to be a touch screen, and I'm not really sure what sections I'm touching from this direction. So, yeah. But touch screen, a multifunction control that when you push it, it brings up a function. Then you can select by touching the item, and then you can make the adjustment to it. Touch it again, it goes away. You've got several hard buttons across the bottom that bring you into different menus. You've got your basic menu. There we go. Back and forth, the icons that you can navigate through when you touch them. Nice. Then you have your functions.
And there's another thing that sets this radio apart from all the previous Japanese radios ever released here. Is that correct? something different about the technology of this radio.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting into the user interface, and the hardware on it it's the first truly software-defined radio with a direct sampling A to D converter, and then everything being processed in a FPGA.
And so although it looks just like a traditional radio, well, a modern traditional radio,
right.
It's a software-defined radio.
And you can operate it without the requirement of having a computer.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
There's some software-defined radios out there now that have a nice user interface control box, but you still have to have everything running through the computer for your demodulation and modulation on it. So I mean, those are real cool devices. This isn't going to replace some of those. I mean, I've seen where you could watch 4 or 5 different bands at the same time, but you're looking. This one's not going to do that.
Well, this one's not in that price range.
No, you're getting what you pay for with a lot of these radios. This is about 1/4 what the higher end SDR radios are. So this is one that we're hoping everybody can save up their pennies to play around with. We call it an entry-level radio. I've been chastised by calling it that because there's so many features with it.
Yeah, it's got a lot more than you'd see on a radio called entry level.
To me, it looks a step up from entry level.
Yeah, it does.
But I mean, we got a whole new group of hams that are coming in that are used to a little bit higher grade entry level type product, whether it's a computer or a tablet. They like the gadgets. They like the ability to have a smooth user interface. So I've seen a lot of new hams that are saying I'm saving up for that radio.
I have seen a lot of buzz about this radio, and well, I think you're going to have a real winner here. Just everything I've seen from everybody, it pushes everybody's buttons, it seems like. So, color touch screen. It's a software-defined radio. It's got an auto tuner built in it.
Yes, it's got an auto tuner built into it, and one of the cool things about the auto tuner is if you set it in emergency mode, it drops the radio down to 50% power, but it will handle to a 10-to-1 SWR.
Oh wow, that's pretty impressive.
So I mean, field day, or if you're doing SOTA work, a little bit heavier than some of the real small radios that I've seen people do SOTA work with, but a lot of flexibility. It does RTTY encode decode, and it AM, FM, upper lower sideband.
So when the squirrel has cut your antenna down again, you can still transmit, I guess.
Don't jinx me. I just put it back up about 3 weeks ago.
Serious.
So Tommy, what you got any questions about this before we really get into the nuts and bolts?
I'm dying to get into the screen here and see what she'll do.
Okay, Ray, anything else you want to tell us before we flip her around and
let's go for it.
I do have one question. Is there any specialized software for it, or can you use pretty much any?
Well, it's got a USB port on it, and as we said last night, make sure before you plug it into your computer and let the OS gurus try to figure out what you just plugged in. Download the Icom drivers, install those, then plug it in, because you get two COM ports with this USB port. One is a virtual COM port for the sound card. The other one is your actual control. So you've got your rig control and then everything audio through it. We've got the Icom RSBA1 software. They just did an upgrade to that. So new additions to the CI5 code is going to give you your band scope.
Okay.
So this is at home. You're in Dallas. You bring up your laptop. You can see what the bands look like, jump the bands using the software, and see what kind of activities out there.
Well, cool. Well, I'll have to try that here in a few weeks if I can get this out of here when we get done tonight.
Okay, well, let's take a little deeper look at this.
Excellent. Here we go, looking at the back of the radio. Some of your obvious common points to take a look at. Your power input is a 4-pin. Underneath that is your ground lug to tie together. You've got your coaxial input, only one antenna input.
Okay.
One thing to keep in mind, we mentioned earlier, an entry-level type radio. It's not going to have your big rig features like a separate receive antenna jack, video output, some of the things like that. But you do have your antenna jack for like your AH4. Auto tuner, so you want to do a long wire. You've got your amplifier connections for your ALC and your key. You've got a 1/4 inch for your CW key in the back. External speaker, and we still have the CI5 remote jack on it. Here's your USB port. And then, George, one of your favorite ports, that 13-pin DIN that you can run your audio in from your soundboard. One of the other things is the large oversized fan for it.
Yeah, that is a big fan. That's as big as on most computer power supplies.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So it should move a lot of air, which tells me that it's going to be 100% duty cycle as well.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Good point. So tell us a little more about that USB jack on there.
The USB port, like we talked about earlier, to make sure you download your drivers. It does your audio in and out, as well as your rig control with 2 COM ports, one hard COM port, one virtual. So your favorite control software, whether it's the Icom RSBA1 software or any of the other softwares out there, you can connect them and use them in that direction.
Very cool. That's a nice feature of the Icom radios. I've been enjoying that on my 7100. I recently set up the digital stuff on it, and it's nice not to have another interface.
George, you mentioned your 7700, how this radio looked very similar to it.
Yes.
Well, one of the key features that it does not have that your 7700, and there again, that whole what the radio can and can't do, what price point. There's no Ethernet jack on the back of this radio.
Yeah.
So to do your remote base, you will have to have a computer with the server, the RSBA1 server software controlling the radio and connected to it, where you've got that built into your 7700.
Well, 7700 is a little more expensive radio, and it has not always done that. It was in a firmware update.
Yes.
Yeah, I put out a while back.
About 8 years after the radio was released, a new firmware that changed the radio.
So this being a software-defined radio, there is of course they won't be adding a video out on it, but there's a lot of features and changes that could come in the future.
Oh yeah, I mean, this radio is built to be take with you. And I've seen on some of the bigger radios, big flat screen TVs. You're not going to backpack one of those to the mountaintop.
No, you're not.
So as we look at the front, real nice clean layout, very few buttons. George, one of the things that you get used to on your 7700 is your twin passband tuning.
Yes, I really like that, and not just my 7700, my 7000 as well. That's just a really nice feature when you got somebody right beside you. You can eliminate them.
Well, that's
many cases.
That's one of those interesting things with an SDR radio. There's so many things that you can do, but the engineers wanted people to feel comfortable. Didn't want to make it too much different. So there's a lot of the same things that you have on your radio, Tommy, you've got on your 7100 that you're going to find and feel right at home with real quick. So as we start up at the top, you got your power, transmit, tuner, Vox break-in. You've got your noise blanker, noise reduction, preamp, notch, RF gain. Now, Tommy, watch this. You know on your 7100, you've got on the RF gain, you go one direction, it's a squelch. There's your squelch setting, and you see the bar go across.
Oh, yeah.
But watch what happens when you go in the other direction. That RFG shows up.
Oh, yeah.
Your RF gain mode now.
Yeah.
That way you know what you're doing with the radio.
That's cool.
You've got your AF gain. And there's a little bit of noise. You've got an SD card slot. But George, as I was talking about earlier, your twin passband tuning.